The community is still healing. It's been 3 months since a student at Abundant Life Christian School opened fire on her classmates before taking her own life, a tragedy that has pushed local leaders and advocates to call for change. This afternoon, WMTV's Shayna Najawan attended an event at the Overture Center where a politically diverse group of Wisconsinites gathered for a film screening, followed by a panel discussion on gun reform.
That's right. Balancing gun rights with public safety is a deeply divisive issue, but one that continues to impact lives across the country, just as it did in December. The event demonstrated that when people come together for open, solutions-focused conversations, real progress is possible.
Closing caskets on kids is not easy.
Educator Alyssa Pierman has lost several students to gun violence.
On April 29th, 2022, at 4:15 p.m., I received a text message from a student that his name was David, was shot.
She appeared in a film, The Tennessee 11, which tells a story of people from different political backgrounds coming together to find common ground on gun laws.
But I'm here because I don't want his death to be in vain. I don't want him to be forgotten.
Sunday's screening was followed by a discussion where panelists did exactly that.
And you just realize that we are so much more interesting than the binaries that are often presented to us.
What Builders hopes that Wisconsinites walk out with today is the idea that solutions are possible, even to our toughest problems.
The event highlighted growing bipartisan support for gun safety measures, such as mental health initiatives, school security measures, and safe storage incentives.
One part that stuck with me was the mention of suicides by gun owners. You may not know this, but 2 years ago, the last year that data are available, there were more deaths by gun suicide in the state than there were by homicide with a gun.
The conversation underscored the need to step outside of ideological bubbles, listen to one another, and work together to reduce gun violence.
We have to combat the fear that's out there and combat that division by humanizing each other. And that happens in conversations like this. It happens in films.
So I hope people leave here today wrestling with their own ideas, understanding better why the other side believes what they believe, and recommitting to doing the hard work of bridging divides.
The screening of the Tennessee 11 was only the third nationwide, showing Wisconsin's strong engagement on the issue of gun violence. Live in the studio, Shayna Najawan, WMTV 15 News.
Shayna, thank you. The goal of Builders, who put on the event, is to overcome toxic polarization across the country.